Heartland enthusiasts, prepare yourselves as season 19 unleashed a seismic narrative shift that almost no one predicted. Ty Borden, long believed gone, has reappeared alive and seemingly well. This shocking development leaves us reeling, grappling with urgent questions surrounding his prolonged absence and unexpected return. How will Amy navigate this emotionally fraught reunion? What transpired during those missing years and what compels his return now? Let's delve into one of the most stunning and emotionally charged events in Heartland's history. For many seasons, Ty was an indispensable character. His deep connection with Amy Fleming formed the bedrock of the series, captivating audiences worldwide. Ty represented more than just Amy's romantic partner. He was her steadfast supporter and a loving father figure to their daughter, Lindy. His presumed death in an earlier season created a heartbreaking void, fundamentally altering Amy's life and the show's dynamics. Viewers witnessed her profound struggle with grief and the immense challenge of forging a path forward without him. The emotional shockwaves of his loss resonated deeply with the global fan base. The subsequent narrative arc, focusing on Amy's journey to rebuild her life and find resilience after Ty, became one of the show's most moving storylines. But then, the impossible unfolds in the season 19 premiere. Ty Borden materializes, standing right there on Heartland's doorstep, leaving Amy and viewers utterly stunned and traumatized. The immediate, overwhelming question is, how is this possible? Ty had been considered deceased for several seasons. Fans, alongside the characters, had come to terms with the finality of his story, observing Amy's painful efforts to navigate life without him. His return after such a significant passage of time constitutes a twist beyond anyone's wildest imagination. This reappearance isn't just a plot point, it's the emotional epicenter of the episode, fundamentally resetting the show's dynamics. Amy's carefully managed grief is thrown into chaos by Ty's sudden presence, triggering a profound emotional upheaval. She must confront a reality she had long dismissed as impossible. The man she mourned, the husband she accepted as lost forever, is physically before her. As Amy grapples with the staggering shock of seeing Ty alive, a torrent of conflicting emotions washes over her: disbelief, joy, anger, and utter confusion. Ty's return transcends a simple plot twist. It signifies a moment of profound reckoning for Amy, who painstakingly rebuilt her existence in his absence. She raised their child, sustained her work at Heartland, and gradually began healing from the immense pain of his loss. Now, confronted by his survival, Amy faces the staggering task of understanding how Ty could have lived and, crucially, why he remained absent for so long. This pivotal moment carries immense emotional weight. Viewers keenly feel the difficulty Amy faces in trying to reconcile her enduring love for Ty with the undeniable reality of the years that have passed and the independent life she meticulously constructed without him. In essence, Ty Borden's return in season 19's first episode reshapes the entire landscape of Heartland. It reopens a storyline many believed concluded, simultaneously raising a host of new questions and unlocking fresh possibilities for the characters' futures. His reappearance is a truly game-changing event within the Heartland universe, setting the stage for new emotional voyages, unforeseen challenges, and significant growth, particularly for Amy, as they all grapple with what this unexpected new chapter signifies. This dramatic twist generates intense anticipation for subsequent developments, leaving characters and fans desperate for answers to the myriad questions surrounding Ty's return. How did he survive? Why did he stay away? What does his presence mean for Amy and her future? These are merely a few of the enigmas poised to unravel in the forthcoming episodes, positioning season 19 as a truly crucial juncture in the ongoing Heartland saga. Ty Borden remained a central figure in Heartland across numerous seasons, and his death stood as one of the series' most profoundly emotional and gut-wrenching moments. For years, the audience followed Amy Fleming, Ty's wife, as she navigated the crushing grief of losing her partner and the father to their child, Lindy. His passing signified a major turning point for the show. Both the characters within the narrative and the viewers watching had accepted that Ty's journey had tragically concluded. In the seasons that followed, his absence profoundly shaped the plot lines, especially Amy's personal evolution as she learned the painful process of coping without him. Specifically, in season 14, Ty sustained a fatal gunshot wound while courageously attempting to rescue a wild horse. The incident was abrupt and devastating for everyone involved. The narrative heavily focused on the emotional toll Ty's death exacted on his family, with Amy's raw, intense grief taking center stage. Viewers shared in this harrowing journey as she struggled to reconcile her life without him, the weight of his loss ever present. Ty's death deeply impacted the Heartland storyline, and fans mourned his departure as intensely as the characters did. For Amy, the experience was isolating and incredibly arduous. Their lives, personal and professional, were deeply intertwined through their collaboration at the Heartland Ranch. Their love story formed a core element of the show's appeal, and Ty's death represented a monumental emotional shift. Following his passing, Amy faced the daunting task of carrying on. She embraced single parenthood, raising Lindy while continuing her crucial work at Heartland. Throughout this challenging period, Amy demonstrated remarkable strength and resilience, though the ache of his absence never fully dissipated. Subsequent seasons meticulously chronicled Amy's journey through healing, acceptance, and the rediscovery of purpose. Without the man who had been her anchor, the wider family circle, Jack, Lou, and others also grappled with adjusting to life without Ty. His absence impacted the ranch's daily rhythm and cast uncertainty over the family's future, even affecting Heartland itself. Eventually, Amy tentatively explored new relationships, endeavoring to balance her enduring love for Ty with the demands and possibilities of her evolving life. Her narrative became one not just of grief and recovery, but also of healing, adaptation, and the relentless passage of time. For the audience, witnessing Amy's continued growth and adaptation in Ty's absence was a key part of the show's sustained emotional engagement. It offered a powerful, relatable depiction of rebuilding one's life after experiencing a profound, life-altering loss. However, despite moving forward, Amy's thoughts were never far from Ty's memory. His absence remained a constant, echoing presence throughout the series. Amy frequently found herself reflecting on how differently life might have unfolded had he survived. The emotional wounds, though scarring over, never completely closed. Ty's death irrevocably altered Amy's path, and the pain of that loss remained a palpable undercurrent. The show's handling of his absence in the subsequent seasons reinforced the perceived finality of the tragedy. His death was presented as definitive, irreversible, with no hint or foreshadowing of a potential return. Narratives shifted to reflect the stark reality, both within the show's world and for the audience, that Ty was truly gone. Amy's healing and growth were framed by the process of learning to live without him, accepting that the love of her life was no longer a physical part of her world. Against this backdrop of established loss and acceptance, Ty's sudden reappearance in Heartland Season 19, Episode 1, gains its profound significance. Amy, along with the devoted fan base, is confronted with the staggering, almost unbelievable reality that Ty is still alive after years spent mourning and believing him lost forever. This revelation is shocking not only for Amy, but also for viewers who had adjusted to the permanence of his character's death. Ty's return immediately triggers a cascade of questions about the events of the intervening years. What actually happened during the time he was presumed dead? How did he manage to survive the shooting incident? Crucially, why did he choose to stay away, leaving his loved ones to believe he was gone? What exactly has occupied his time in life during this extended period of silence? The intense tension and palpable excitement permeating the season premiere are fueled by these unanswered questions and the sheer emotional weight of Ty's reappearance. This twist fundamentally challenges everything the audience thought they knew about Ty's storyline, introducing intricate new layers of complexity to the character relationships, especially the dynamic between Amy and Ty as they attempt to process his return. The foundational belief that Ty Borden's journey had concluded in tragedy deeply affected both the characters and the viewers. His death was a defining watershed moment in Heartland's long history, profoundly shaping the show's narrative direction for multiple seasons. With his unexpected return, the series embarks on a bold, unforeseen trajectory, opening up a vast new landscape of possibilities and intense emotional journeys for the characters to navigate. Within Heartland, the relationship between Amy Fleming and Ty Borden served as one of the primary emotional anchors of the entire series. For many years, viewers were deeply invested in their love story, a narrative built upon mutual support, unwavering trust, and a shared passion for the land and animals central to Heartland. When Ty tragically passed away in season 14, it marked a devastating turning point, not just for Amy, but for the very fabric of the show. Amy's grief following Ty's death was visceral and powerfully portrayed. Her struggle to move forward without him became a central, recurring theme in the subsequent seasons. Ty's return in season 19 thus creates an incredibly complex and emotionally charged dilemma for Amy. She is suddenly forced to process a reality that defies belief and challenges the foundations of the life she has painstakingly rebuilt. Seeing Ty again undoubtedly unleashes a maelstrom of emotions within Amy. Initially, profound shock and disbelief likely dominate. After years dedicated to mourning his death and learning to exist without him, the very notion of his return feels utterly inconceivable. Amy invested so much time and emotional energy into grieving, coping, and finally reaching a state of acceptance regarding Ty's absence. The realization that he might have been alive all this time without her knowledge is not just a devastating emotional blow, but also a profound disruption to everything she has endured and overcome. It's as if the reality Amy painstakingly constructed a world without Ty abruptly disintegrates, leaving her confronting an entirely new, disorienting landscape. Amy's immediate reaction upon seeing Ty is almost certainly a complicated fusion of conflicting feelings. On one hand, his return presents the possibility of rekindling the life and love they once shared, a prospect that would naturally evoke deep joy and relief. Amy undoubtedly longed for Ty, and the thought of him being alive could stir profound happiness. However, this joy is inevitably tangled with disorientation, resentment, and perhaps even a sense of betrayal. Amy endured the agony of Ty's perceived death for such a long period, and his sudden reappearance raises painful questions she urgently needs answers to. Why did he vanish? Why didn't he come back sooner? Why was she left to navigate the world alone, bearing the weight of his loss without any explanation? Amy would surely find herself torn between the overwhelming flood of emotions at seeing Ty again and the pressing need to understand the reasons behind his absence. Ty's return isn't merely an opportunity for a joyful reunion. It forces Amy to confront unresolved issues and buried pain from their shared past and the years apart. Over the years, she painstakingly constructed a life without him, a reality she had gradually, painfully come to accept. She developed new coping mechanisms, managed her responsibilities at Heartland, and navigated the complexities of raising their daughter, Lindy, alone. Amy was compelled to evolve, and processing her partner's death was an integral part of that transformation. She learned self-reliance, managed the ranch, and worked towards mending her shattered heart. Seeing Ty again challenges the very foundations of the acceptance she fought so hard to achieve. She's forced into a position of reevaluating everything she believed about her past and, more importantly, her future. It's as if a chapter of her life she thought definitively closed has been violently torn open again. For Amy, Ty's return also represents a direct confrontation with the grief that had become a constant, albeit managed, companion since his presumed death. She had learned to live alongside the pain of losing him, but the sudden knowledge that he was out there, alive, potentially magnifies that original pain. This realization could feel like a form of betrayal, particularly given his failure to return sooner, leaving her to grapple with his death in isolation. Amy might find herself questioning the authenticity of Ty's return or suspecting deeper, undisclosed reasons for his prolonged disappearance. The return of Ty Borden in Heartland season 19 immediately sparks a multitude of pressing, unanswered questions, stemming directly from the shocking and entirely unexpected nature of his reappearance. For years, the characters within the show's universe, along with the audience watching from home, operated under the firm belief that Ty's story had reached its tragic conclusion. His death served as a pivotal emotional turning point for the series. Key characters, including the patriarch Jack and sister Lou, alongside Amy, spent years mourning Ty's loss and painstakingly attempting to rebuild their lives in the wake of his absence. Now, the sudden possibility that he might have survived and returned, seemingly healthy, forces everyone to fundamentally reevaluate the narrative of Ty's death and its enduring aftermath. The primary and most immediate question is undoubtedly, how did Ty actually survive? This question is critical because his death was depicted as resulting from a sudden fatal injury, a gunshot wound sustained during a traumatic rescue attempt. His passing left Amy utterly devastated, and the notion that he could have overcome such a life threatening event seems almost miraculous. The show's initial withholding of this explanation immediately heightens the suspense. Did he somehow cheat death against all odds and manage to recover in secret? Was he perhaps rescued and cared for by an unknown party after the incident? Or did some other extraordinary circumstance allow him to survive? These are the central mysteries viewers must grapple with as they follow the unfolding story of Ty's return. The answer to how he survived will inevitably shape the season's direction and significantly influence the dynamics between the characters, especially Amy's response to him. Closely following the survival question is another crucial point. Why did he stay away? Even assuming he survived, the fact that he maintained complete silence and made no contact for such an extended period is deeply perplexing and troubling. The characters, Amy most of all, will desperately need to understand why he didn't return sooner. His prolonged disappearance, particularly given the trauma surrounding his injury and presumed death, raises significant emotional questions. Did Ty intentionally stay away, perhaps believing he was protecting his family from further pain or danger? Or were there external factors that forced him into isolation, preventing him from reaching out? Could circumstances in his hidden life have made him feel unable or unworthy to return? It's plausible that the events leading to his disappearance or occurring during his absence left him with profound mental or physical scars, necessitating a long period of recovery before he could face his loved ones. Unraveling Ty's motivations and emotional journey during his time away is essential to fully understanding his character arc in this new phase. His reasons for leaving and for remaining silent will be fundamental to grasping the complexities of his return. Furthermore, why did he specifically avoid contacting Amy or anyone else from his past life? This question follows directly from why he stayed away. Amy's reaction to seeing Ty alive is inevitably colored by hurt alongside any joy or confusion. Why didn't he reach out, especially given their profound bond? Amy had to reconstruct her entire existence without any knowledge of his survival, and the pain of his loss was compounded by this complete lack of closure or communication. Why wouldn't he, at the very least, let her know he was alive, if only to grant her some measure of peace? What specific experiences defined his life while he was separated from Heartland? The years of silence strongly suggest he underwent something significant, perhaps something that actively prevented his return or even hindered his ability to communicate his survival. Did he face ongoing physical challenges stemming from the original injury? Was he entangled in circumstances that made reconnection impossible or dangerous? Why didn't he reach out, especially given their profound bond? Amy had to reconstruct her entire existence without any knowledge of his survival, and the pain of his loss was compounded by this complete lack of closure or communication. Why wouldn't he at the very least let her know he was alive, if only to grant her some measure of peace? What specific experiences defined his life while he was separated from Heartland? The years of silence strongly suggest he underwent something significant, perhaps something that actively prevented his return or even hindered his ability to communicate his survival. Did he face ongoing physical challenges stemming from the original injury? Was he entangled in circumstances that made reconnection impossible or dangerous? Maybe he was battling deep personal trauma, grappling with guilt over the impact of his presumed death, or attempting to heal from profound emotional wounds before he felt ready to face his past. As the season progresses, exploring Ty's mysterious absence will be crucial, revealing more about his experiences and the complex factors influencing his decision to finally return. Understanding Ty's journey during his time away is vital for comprehending the full impact of his return on the other characters and how this twist fits into the broader narrative tapestry of Heartland. An equally significant question revolves around how the other central characters will react to Ty's reappearance. Jack, Amy's grandfather and a pillar of the family, will undoubtedly have his own complex processing to do. He too was deeply affected by Ty's passing. Ty viewed Jack as a father figure, and their bond was built on mutual respect and deep affection. How will Jack reconcile the image of the young man he mourned as gone with the reality of him standing there alive? His reaction will surely involve conflicting emotions. Amy's response to Ty's return, as explored earlier, is multifaceted. She spent years grieving and slowly accepting the loss of her husband. Now, she confronts the almost unbelievable reality that the man she thought lost forever has come back. However, Ty's return does more than just rekindle their relationship. It forces a confrontation with difficult questions about the past. Amy must grapple with the residual pain of his absence alongside potential feelings of betrayal or abandonment stemming from his mysterious departure and long silence. As a mother who raised their child alone and a woman who rebuilt her life, addressing these complex emotions will be central to her journey. His return isn't simply a reunion, it's a catalyst for confronting the grief, resentment, and confusion that have simmered beneath the surface for years and years. The timing of Ty's return might be as significant as the return itself. Why has he chosen this particular moment to reappear at Heartland? Has something shifted in his hidden life? Has he completed a journey of self-discovery or healing that now gives him the strength or impetus to return? Does he finally feel equipped to face the people he left behind? Perhaps most critically, has he returned with the intention of reclaiming his old life and reconnecting fully with his family? Or are there deeper, more complicated motives driving his actions? These questions about his intentions will heavily shape the show's emotional trajectory as his motivations gradually become clearer. His decision to return now will likely have profound and far-reaching consequences for himself and everyone connected to him. Another vital aspect concerns how Ty's return will impact the broader family dynamics and the functioning of the ranch itself. Beyond the immediate emotional shockwaves, Heartland, both the family unit and the business operation, has undergone significant changes during Ty's absence. Amy adapted, took on new leadership roles, and managed the responsibilities of raising Lindy largely on her own. She learned to operate the ranch without her primary partner, and Ty's arrival after all this time might destabilize the very foundation she worked so hard to solidify. As Amy and Ty attempt the complex process of reconnecting, the established dynamics within the family will inevitably shift. Everyone involved will need to recalibrate their roles and relationships in light of Ty's unexpected presence. Can he simply slot back into his former life? Or will he discover that too much has irrevocably changed for a seamless reintegration? For Amy, Ty's return carries immense personal weight beyond just the relationship aspect. She spent years meticulously rebuilding her life, learning to exist without Ty. Even as his memory remained a constant presence, she grew significantly as a person, assuming greater responsibilities not only as a mother, but also as a leader within the family and at Heartland. Ty's reappearance risks disrupting the hard-won stability Amy achieved. She had come to terms with widowhood and his death. Now she must confront what his living presence means for her personal identity. Is she still the same person who was married to him? Have her feelings evolved irrevocably due to her own growth and the sheer passage of time? The emotional questions Amy faces are profound and layered. She is forced to revisit her past while simultaneously reimagining a future that suddenly, unexpectedly includes Ty once again. Central to Ty's return are the potent themes of healing and closure. One of the most agonizing aspects of his absence was the profound lack of closure. Amy never had the chance to say a proper goodbye, leaving a deep, unhealed wound. Ty's sudden reappearance offers a potential pathway to mending old hurts, but it simultaneously carries the reopening those very wounds. Will Amy's healing process be ultimately aided or hindered by Ty's return? Will it finally provide the closure she was denied or complicate it further? Her emotional journey forward will necessitate reconciling the past with the present, attempting to make sense of the lost years. Finding a way to forgive him, not just for her own sake, but for Lindy and the family's future, will be a monumental task. Ty's return also raises practical questions about the future operations of Heartland itself. Amy and Ty had built something substantial together, encompassing their shared work with horses and their life on the ranch. However, during his absence, Amy adapted to a new operational reality, often with support from other family members. Now, with Ty back in the picture, they must collectively navigate a wave of change emotionally, practically, and within the day-to-day running of the ranch. What role will Ty play at Heartland moving forward? Will he attempt to resume his previous responsibilities, or will he find the landscape so altered that simply stepping back in is impossible? His reintegration into Heartland's daily operations will undoubtedly be complex, shaped by the transformations that occurred while he was gone. Ty's relationship with his daughter, Lindy, represents another major emotional through lane. Amy raised Lindy mostly alone, and Lindy was very young when Ty disappeared. Now older, she will have her own unique and complex reaction to the return of a father she primarily knows through stories and photographs. The dynamic between this father and daughter, as Lindy navigates this unexpected and emotionally charged reunion, promises to be one of the season's most poignant storylines. Rebuilding their bond will demand considerable time, patience, effort, and vulnerability from both Ty and Lindy. Ultimately, the core reasons behind Ty's departure and his decision to return now will form the central mystery driving Heartland's ongoing narrative. These critical questions will inevitably surface and be explored throughout the season, providing rich, deep emotional arcs for the characters. The audience will witness a powerful journey encompassing themes of healing, the difficult path to forgiveness, and profound transformation. As the truth behind Ty's motivations and extended absence gradually unfolds, it will dictate the emotional direction of the story and determine whether the characters, especially Amy, can successfully navigate this new, unexpected chapter and move forward together into an uncertain future ahead.